don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
Peace, family. How's everyone doing? I'm going to give everyone a little time to get in. This is very exciting. And listen, we have to really be, we have to give Dr. Susan Tatah an extra shout out, because it is literally, I think she said 4 a.m. in Africa, but she decided to still come on. So, I mean, that's what's up. All right, family, make sure that you are liking, sharing, and liking, sharing. And you know what? The other piece is that you have to make sure you hit the notifications button on YouTube. That way, as soon as we go live, you will get, a little ding on your phone, or whichever way you have it set up, so you know when we're live. All right, peace to Anika, Anthony in the house. All right, fam. So, okay, Divine Damon. Okay, all right. I see you out here. I don't know why you're not coming to Ghana with us. You need to be coming to Ghana. Okay, we're going to get to there, because we got like a little world premiere or something tonight. So the first things first, newsletter, family. If you first, let me just say shout out to people who have signed up for the newsletter. Okay, shout out to all the people who are listening and they're like, let me at least do my civic duty and sign up for the newsletter. Okay. All you need to do is go to hapifilm.com. Okay, right there. You're going to hit the stay connected button and send us your email, and we will add you to the list. Because anytime we have things going on, we like to have a way to directly get to you right away. Just in case you're not on social media, almost everyone kind of checks their email at least once a day. So make sure you are signed up. And also, listen, you can advertise, and shout out to Dr. LaRoche and all the other business owners that are sending, and I'll get you the email address. It's right here. Send us an email, and we will, send you our sponsorship package, and you can kind of choose. And this is the other thing. If you don't see anything in there, you're like, okay, well, I need something that's kind of in between what we're offering. It's just a conversation. And the other piece about the newsletter, so there's a couple of things. Make sure you're signed up. Make sure you're opening the newsletter, because we can see like if you guys are opening or not. So make sure you open it, because there's a lot of really actually good articles in there. The other piece is that, of course, you can advertise. And the other piece is, the other thing about this is that in terms of community, this is a community paper. Okay. So people from different, countries, cities, it doesn't matter. If you have something that you think that our viewership, would appreciate, send it to us, because we'll publish it, within reason, as long as it goes along with the HAPI values, we're all in it. So, it's important that you guys understand that this paper is not just like a HAPI thing. It's just that we're the organizing force. We're the bridge between people. And so it's really important that you actually, if you got something to say, write it up and send it to us, because we would love to get it to the greater population. All right. So you can go right there, and you can send your ads to the HAPI marketing ads at Gmail, or you can send, if you have a interesting, article, you can send that to us as well. Okay. So right there, family, make sure that you are supporting the family by, at the very least, make sure you are signed up for the newsletter. All right. Clearance sale. All right. We just got a couple of sizes of almost everything left. And so a lot of you have ordered some stuff, and it's a tiny delay, because we're trying to, I'll probably be calling you to kind of switch out some stuff, because sizes and things are going really, really fast. We still have a few of the HAPI hoodies. We have small or big. I think it's like 3X. We don't really have anything in between, but family, if you want to get one of these beautiful little hoodies, like, come on, right there. It's a clearance sale, because when we bring out new merchandise, this will be considered vintage and we probably won't have any left. Okay. So you can go, everything you can do is at hapifilm.com. All right. Oh, and the other thing, this is super important. Okay. Right here. Magical Kemet Revisited. This is huge. And Professor Small is here and he will talk a little bit about this, tonight as well. We have Magical Kemet Revisited. This is a live event in New York City. Okay. Now, if you can't get to New York City, this is where HAPI comes in. We are going to be live streaming this event. Okay. The live stream ticket is $20. It's not, listen, I'm not trying to be in anybody's little pocketbook. Okay. But we really tried to, price it so that everyone could take advantage of seeing this event. It's going to be bananas. We have Professor Small, we have Kaba Kabane, and we have Infudishi Juhutimis, and we have Sister Ella, and we have the Chief. He's going to be doing the libations. I tell you, he does. And Professor will talk about this. He does the libations at very, like a lot of events that we've been to, that we've actually had. He's also in the film HAPI. And so he's going to be there. I tell you, this is going to be fire. But again, if you can't make it, if you're in town, you should just be there and see us. We'll probably, have some merchandise out there. But if you cannot make it, get the live stream ticket. Okay. It's $20. And I'm telling you now, if I were you, okay, now I know, people are sitting here, I can just get it the day of. You could, okay, but if you don't want to miss not 1 minute because of technology, when you buy it and then it has to, go through the Eventbrite, has to send you the thing. If you don't want to do all of that, just get your ticket now. Get it now. It's straight. You'll get a couple of emails from me throughout the, as it's getting closer and closer. We'll make sure everyone has a link and then you can just sit down and watch it. This is going to be an off the chart event. Okay. This is going to be fire right here. Magical Kemet. All right, family, make sure that you are liking and sharing this video. All right. Oh, I see everybody's up in the house now. Shall I go? Okay. I ain't seen you in a minute. Craig, Tanya, share sunshine. That's cute. All right. Rashamela, Teresa. Oh, this is great. What's up, Peggy? Listen, family, like I said, just make sure you get your Magical Kemet trip. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Tatah, and I'm going to bring in Professor, and then we're going to talk for a minute before we get on to what we were going to talk about. All right. How y'all doing? And listen, thank you, Dr. Tatah. Thank you. Thank you very much. And before we get started, family, if you want to, and listen, I took this straight from King Simon. He had, I forgot what type of little love he had going on his, and he's doing a lot of things. You guys got to make sure you're signed up and getting King Simon's emails. I mean, not his emails, like you're signed up for his on his YouTube page, because he is interviewing like all these sisters this month. It's really nice. Like, make sure you're signed up to King Simon. But he introduced the whole thing about the little HAPI love. So right there, family, Cash App. Listen, all these things that we're talking about all cost money. And if, I just remember Dr. Runoko Rashidi saying, everybody got to do something. Okay. So whatever your something is, we will really appreciate it. Okay. So right there, Cash App love. Okay. All right. Hey, how you doing, Professor?
I'm doing.
Okay, so listen, because you know what, last night you called me about the video, but I didn't want to tell you, I didn't want to show you the video until right now. So it could be a surprise. Are you going to be surprised?
No, because I should have seen it before.
No, because
just in case there's something I disagree with.
No, you said it. No, listen, you are all, family, if you ever get a chance to work with Professor, he is the ultimate professional. Okay. Like your stuff, like you are like the Jay-Z of the conscious community, the way you just spit out your narration. So without further ado, we're going to show you the official Ghana, and we hope that Professor likes it. I think you're going to like it, Professor. Okay, this is the official video for Ghana. Yay.
Family, this is Professor James Small, and I'm inviting you to join me on a life-changing journey to Ghana with HAPI from July 25th to August 5th, 2025. This is more than a trip. It's a very spiritual homecoming. We will stand in the very waters where our ancestors took their last bath before being taken from their homeland, never to return. We will honor them, reconnect with our roots, and experience the beauty of Ghana, its people, its culture, and its spirit. And most importantly, we will do this together, surrounded by like-minded brothers and sisters, on this journey of remembrance and healing. The ancestors are calling. Will you answer? Visit acadtours.com and return home.
That is so good. Wasn't that nice?
Very nice. I'm proud of Professor Small. He does very good with this stuff. He ought to get a job to do advertising and voiceover. Really make some money.
Absolutely.
No, but it's actually a very good ad because it's a very good tour.
Yes. Let's talk about the tour for a
minute. Not over 40 years, none of my tours, my and Dr. Jeffries, God bless his spirit right now, he's in a healing modality, but he's doing fine. And Sister Leah, God bless her soul, she's an ancestor. The three of us founded this tour to Ghana, going back almost 40 years with me and Dr. Jeffries, and me and Sister Leah, more than 20 years. And it has always been a pilgrimage and not a tour. Actually, we called it the African Pilgrimage Project. And the concept came from my having gone to Mecca on the Muslim pilgrimage and wondered why we didn't have an African pilgrimage. Because the Muslim have a pilgrimage, the Hindu have a pilgrimage, the Sikh have a pilgrimage, everybody have a pilgrimage. And all the pilgrimage is going back to sites and experiences that your ancestors have had through time. Acknowledge the significant ones that would always be remembered. Matter of fact, when we went to school, especially those of you who went to school in America and in the UK, you had Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. And the Canterbury Tales was about all these white folks going on this pilgrimage and having all these different experiences. And so I thought that that's what this should be when we started it many, many years ago. And that's what it is. It is a pilgrimage. We visit actually 3 or 4 museums. How many people do that? You know, we also visit nightclubs and go to jazz clubs. We visit hip hop clubs. Hang up with Reggie, Rockstone, and who's Mr. Hip Hop in Ghana. But we also go to the traditional village, and we have traditional naming ceremony, and we get to meet with a traditional Nana. Over here, we may call him a king, but there he's higher than a king because he's not only the secular leader, he's the spiritual leader of the community and the ancestral representative to the community. And so we go through these different experiences. We try to eat at good restaurants that serve both continental food, if that's where your head is at, and indigenous food, food of the people on the land. And we have lectures, a lot of impromptu lectures from myself, and from our excellent tour guides, all of whom are experienced historians and guides for Ghana and Africa. And the idea is to help you to, to resurrect your African consciousness,
Mm.
to resurrect the African consciousness, to begin to, how do you say, give rebirth to that part of yourself that you're searching for. And sometimes everybody's going to do it different. No one has the same experience on any of these tours. Everyone have a different experience. You know, when I experienced Sister Susan Tatah on Pan-African Daily TV, I haven't experienced different from any other brother or sister that experienced Susan Tatah. Each of us are learning and hearing different things. When we watch HAPI, we're hearing different things. We're hearing what our soul needs, what our spirit needs. And it's the same thing on the tours to Ghana. We will all be in the same museum, but we will all get a different message for ourselves, depending on what we're searching for. But it's all about rebirthing African consciousness. And you know, the term I use, history erases the mystery.
Yes.
What history does for you is wash the scab off of your eye, allow you to see the things you were unable to see before. And you're having this experience with other people who are on the same journey that you are on, looking for what they're looking for their ancestors. But one of the greatest things you're doing when you're going on this trip, you know, all those ancestors you had that came on the slave ships and got murdered and got abused and got raped and got genocide. This gives you an opportunity to take their spirits back home. This allows you, when you go, you're taking your family ancestral bloodline back home. You're ending the tyranny of slavery for them, spiritually, and leaving them there, you know, where they belong, back home with their great ancestors and their great fathers. So really, that's what this tour is about. And we have fun too. We sit in the lobby at night and we have some cocktails and we have some wine and we have conversation about how the day went. And then many of our old friends we've made over the years in Ghana will come by to visit and talk with us and interact with us. So, you know, it's the pilgrimage back home. And the purpose is to rebirth the African consciousness in you, the individual. So join us. Join HAPI in Ghana with Professor Small and Sister Susan Tatah.
Yeah.
We'll be on this trip, and we got to tie her up hand and feet, put her in a suitcase with holes so she can breathe. And we're going to have her up in Ghana for Pan-African Daily TV recording.
Yeah, this is awesome. When you told me Dr. Tatah was coming, I was like, oh my God, like this is going to be nice. Listen, family, if you can make it, ICADtours.com right there. And if you, for whatever reason, can't remember ICAD Tours, you can go to HAPI Film. It's a link to get to the page as well. We're doing Ghana, and we're also, for some, you know, we also have an extended 2-day trip. So we're doing Ghana and Egypt, just in Cairo. And so that's also an option. And
no, we're not just doing Ghana and Egypt. We're doing Ghana, we're doing the Sphinx complex and temple complex. We're doing the pyramid and its temple complex. And we're doing the Great Museum, one of the biggest museums in the world, with artifacts and elements from ancient Kemet that has just opened.
Yeah, the new one.
Those are the 3 elements that we're doing. If you didn't do anything else and you did those 3 things, you've been to Kemet. Because you will see 90% of what you would see even if you went for a week in those 2 days.
Yeah. It's a nice trip. It is nicely priced, and the price includes everything. Your round trip flight from New York, from JFK there and back. So it's a nice trip, family, if you can, you know, make it there.
And if you just want to hang out, you know, and just be social and have your romantic journey back home and lie on the beach with your mate, we got all that too. You know, really nice beaches, you know. So It's Africa. It's going home. It's going home.
Mm-hmm.
Home is not a myth. Africa is real. It is the sweetest, most beautiful place on planet Earth.
Mm.
So
I know, Dr. Tatah.
Susan knows she's a Cameroonian. She know how. Cameroon is something. When I studied the culture in Cameroon, and I learned about these extraordinary people who go beyond the boundaries of Cameroon. You know, those are boundaries white people put up there after the Berlin Conference. But we spill out all over West Africa, the Cameroonian, even back to Kemet. And so these are the things you'll learn about in our lectures. Which came first? This is still a big question. Did Kemet come first, or did the cultures of West Africa come first? And then spread out to help build Kemet. So to erase that mystery, you got to hang out with us. And the truth will absolutely set you free. You know, history will erase the mystery.
You know what, Professor? Somebody should actually go through all the, I think 200 episodes we have, but just pick out the ones with you in there and see how many times you've said that, but in different ways. It's like you say it some type of little different way every single time you say it. All right. So family right here, and let me just put this up again. You can go to HAPI Tours and get more information about it. And family, listen, you know, it's going to be nice. Okay. And for all the reasons Professor said, and I think one of my top reasons I love traveling is really about the people who we travel with, because I can tell you from my first trip, there's still people on that first trip that I talk to now. And it's such a nice feeling. It's like you get on the plane, and then as you get off the plane, and you like instant family. Well, you actually become family at the airport. But it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm so happy that Dr. Tatah is going to come. Like, that's cool that you're going to already be there, so we can hang out and we can wait. What did you say, Professor? Sit and have cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
Sit and talk.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Listen, I want the sun. I want the sun on my back.
You can have the sun. You can have the water. You can have you know what apatashi is? Anyone know what apatashi is? I know Susan know apatashi.
No, I don't know what that is.
We call it moonshine in America, but Africa has its own liquor brand, and in Ghana it's called apatashi, right? But the common name for it is kill me quick, because after one shot you're gonna be begging somebody to kill you as quick as they It is one of the most beautiful whiskey made from sugar cane that you can possibly have. It beats any of the bourbon and stuff or the cognac and stuff you get from this side. It has a smooth, warm taste. But if you get to that second glass, you better yell out, kill me quick, because you're going to be out there. So we enjoy a little apatashi, just a little, for a nightcap.
For a nightcap. I said, listen, this is why
we all grown. We're going to be grown people sitting around talking about the day, how we enjoy the day. What did we learn new today? Did we meet some new friends? What did we learn about the culture today? Those kinds of things that's being discussed. What did we learn about the history? The questions you may have just for me, because I don't get all up in your face teaching. I let you have your experience. I'm there for the questions, If you have questions, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I may give you little caveat lectures, 5-10 minutes here and there on the bus. But for the most part, I'm there to respond to your need to have a greater explanation for your experience. And that's what our trip is about. Is you having your experience, not you having Brother Small's experience. I got my own.
Yeah.
You're going to have your experience. And that's going to be your blessings. And you're going to bring your ancestors back home. Remember in my teachings, I tell you, that we are the ancestors, that those energies that produce our bodies that are considered dead and gone, those energies that they form in those bodies they were in still reside in us. We go back home and unload them back to their family, set them free back in Africa. If you understand that, you'll understand whether you go with us or anybody else, going home is deeper than a trip. Okay? It's deeper than a trip.
It's deeper than a trip.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Professor. Yeah, shout out to Lisa. She's in the chat. She and her son are coming, which we always like when younger people come. So that's going to be nice.
I'm bringing 2 of my granddaughters to come. One just turned 18, and one is 15.
Yeah, we have another child, Sanaa. Sanaa's gonna be in the house. She's coming as well. And peace to my mentor in the group chat. What's up, Michael, friend? That's nice. My little mentor is in the house. All right. Okay. Let's talk symbols. So I'm gonna actually start with you, Dr. Tatah. Okay, because I was one of the things before we even get started, because I mean everyone should know you, and if they don't, I don't know why they don't. So can you just kind of just give a little like a little bit of who you are in the big scheme of the global of our global community?
I think greetings to the HAPI family and all of us that are gathered. I'm kind of like a little bit cold. My voice is, not so. You hear the crappy from the background. The cold has been very hard out here, and I'm just recovering. But anyway, I'm Susan Eni Tatah, and those of you who African Daily TV, because I'm the host of Daily TV. But apart from that, I know myself like any goddess, and sent to the universe by the ancestors to connect, to interpret also, and giving as a messenger for the people from the continent, and also for my siblings in the diaspora. So originally from the country in Africa called Cameroon, named by the Germans, as we know. This is in the west of Africa, where most of us also originate in the diaspora. As we know, we all share our backgrounds from West Africa and our origins as well. So yes, I'm here today. I'm a fan, a sister, a member of Felicia, a sister, a friend, a big fan, and also Professor James. I know why he's saying you have to Ghana this time, because this is, if I would not come, this is the second trip that Professor James is paying for, supporting me to be, in Pan-African Daily. The first one, I missed it. I was in Cameroon, and he actually a trip and say you have to be there with the ticketing and everything, but it was not possible because the visas and stuff like this. And so this one again, he's single-handedly saying we have to go. So I don't have a choice but to be to be there. But one thing I just want to add a voice to the tour is from what I get like spiritual messages is, nobody is a coincidence going to a trip back home. And everybody that goes in that group is not just a family, it's a tribe. It's a tribe that has been called upon by the ancestors to the leadership of Professor James. So it's a spiritual tribe connection. If you happen to find yourself in any group with any person on these tours that you are going, remember this person is actually connected somehow DNA with you, not just because you happen to be there. It is the ancestors that chose this pilgrimage, And the people that are always on each belong to a tribe. You know, and so it's not just a trip or a tourist trip that we go. As Professor is saying, we're carrying back this. So whether you meet with the ones on the continent as well, this is exactly who your family is, who you belong to. So when you meet at the airport or you meet, it's a spiritual connection. That's just a physical appearance that you're there. I mean, that's what I get in my spirit coming up when I hear you talk about. So we all would go on this with Professor James Moore, and he's going to be here to actually lead us because he's chosen to lead back all of us back to the ancestral root. It's a spiritual calling. And even when he says, I've been doing it for 40 years, and he was inspired by that, he was just taken on that journey to see how he could bring back his people home. So it's more than just a trip. It's more than just visiting this place. It's actually connecting you back to the sources and the spaces that you once were before you back in this. So I really encourage, if you're moved to go on that trip, just know your ancestors are truly calling you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Susan. That was profound and enlightening. And I want to tell all my brothers and sisters who say, I'm ADOS, that's wonderful. You can be ADOS, and that's beautiful. For all who says, I'm foundational Black Americans, that's beautiful. But don't let a label have you assassinate your ancestry. Okay? And that's what some of us are doing out of ignorance of history. So I don't have a problem being foundational Black American. But I was an African before I left the continent. That means I'm still an African no matter where I go. I could change my name and say, I'm Thailandese, but I'm a Thailandese African. Because when I left Africa, I was African. And whatever other label I pick up for historical experience, that may be cool. But you don't turn around and shoot your mother and your father. You don't turn around and kill your cousins and your brothers and sisters who are the offspring of the same ancestry because they come from a different location in the world. So we understand the damage done, the fractured consciousness and the broken Black identity that came out of the transatlantic slave trade and the genocide of slavery in America. But it's time to heal. You can't heal by committing suicide. You must live in order to heal. And when you denigrate your brothers and sisters, when you denigrate your ancestry, when you denigrate your birth ancestry, birth land, you're committing suicide. We want to stop the suicide. And the only way you can stop the suicide is learn the history, to get rid of the Eurocentric mystery. That's the meme that is infecting your consciousness. And we want to give rebirth to a new African consciousness. And you can't, if you meet a brother from the continent who know nothing about our history, why is that a mystery to you when most of us don't know nothing about our history? You know what I'm saying? Fine. Give me 10 African Americans, 10 foundational Black Americans, 10 ADOS, whatever you want to call them. And if you find 2 that know anything significant about their history, you will be very lucky. So how then are you going to expect some brother from Chad to know any damn thing about our history? All right. The same white man with neocolonialism and slavery blocked us from knowing who we are. I remember, I think it was 92 when we started Emancipation Day in Ghana. Most Ghanaians, Jerry Rollins, our beautiful, he was my younger brother, but he was like my intellectual political father. And he was my friend, and I'm proud to have been his friend and still is his friend. He gave a full week. We took 2 bodies back, one from Jamaica, one from the United States, to be interned in Africa. And he gave them a full week national funeral on the television every day. And that's when I found out that most people in Ghana did not even know we were here. They didn't know we were here, didn't know nothing about us. They knew nothing about the genocide that we had gone through. And I remember, and I'll end with this, we met a man, we were at the museum in Kumasi. And this beautiful brother, we had this magnificent tour, what these magnificent videos about the kingdom of the Ashanti and Asantehene and so forth. And we were upstairs going through the last floor of the old Minion Palace. And he just sat in a chair and he started crying, just started boohooing. And I thought somebody in our group had done something offensive. So I went to him to find out, what is the matter, my brother? Tell me so I can handle it, you know? Because I'm always the duty thug and security, you know, when we go on this trip. And he said, me and my family was watching TV yesterday and watching the reenactment of the slave ship and enslavement that the students from the universities in Ghana was doing. And he said, we never knew any of that happened to our people. We just didn't know. And he said, the whole family sat there crying that this thing happened to us. And we're now just learning about it. But our people who are coming from North America, we knew they were black and brown like us, but we didn't know how they got there or how they're coming from where, you know? And for us to over here chastise or scold or misrepresent our attitudes, and I want our brothers and sisters on the continent to know there's only a few people in their ignorance that feel that way. Most of us in North America know nothing about slavery. We know nothing about the history of the last 500 years. We just know bits and pieces and fragments we may see on TV or one or two names. So how then are we going to put that burden on a brother and sister that live thousands of miles away, fighting against the same white supremacy that we're fighting against? Now, I know when Taki presented that topic, I said I wouldn't deal with it, but I got to deal with what the spirits will deal with. So just for our world to know, if foundational Black Americans, you got a right to name yourself anything you want. And most people name themselves out of their historical experience. But don't let naming and labeling yourself have you lose yourself. Because a tree without a roots isn't going to die. It is already dead. Any tree that do not have roots is a dead tree standing. You just push it over. It's rotted. It's gone. You understand? And so let's study. History erases the mystery. Let's find our ancestors within us. And they come from Africa. Everything that makes you up, I don't care whether you came here on the slave ship, you came here on the ship from the Mali kingdom, or you came here on the ships that came before that built the pyramids in Central South America and Mexico. We did all of that thousands of years before the Asian, who we call Indians, even got here. All right? But you still came from Africa. Don't be confused. Don't be lost. And my brothers and sisters who will hear this, y'all know who I'm talking to, because I don't run from you and I don't disown you either. And I'm not going to get into a tit with you over the internet, because I love you still also. But I'm telling you to know how to love the rest of yourself. Because each of us is actually a piece of you. If you don't love me, even if I'm lost, you have stopped loving yourself. Exactly. And the only reason we have purpose is because they're the ones who are lost. If no one was lost, we could be home with our families cooling it, having a glass of wine or something. But our people need us, because there's some who cannot see. There's some who cannot hear. There's some who cannot speak, psychologically, spiritually, culturally. And our job is to give them their voice back, give them their hearing, and give them their sight. If we can be clear on that, we know why we're sitting here tonight having this conversation, because that's what this is about. We have to be physicians. We have to be healers. We have to be teachers. We have to be ones who lift the spirit up so that you can grow and do the same thing for others who need the same help you needed. Absolutely. That's what this is about. Malcolm X didn't go and take 19 bullets because he wanted to be seen. He could have avoided being butchered like that. He came to say, I am you. You are me. And I'm willing to die for your integrity. And we should never forget. Patrice Lumumba could have gone along with the Belgians, and he could have had a beautiful life and a rich man's life. But he says, I'm African. I must stand for the African. I must free the African. And that young man lost his life, butchered for you. And so you've got to think, Amilcar Cabral, he was a physician, a medical doctor in Guinea-Bissau, PAIGC. He could have gone on to Portugal. He could have been a rich African doctor. He could have came to America, been a rich doctor. But he picked up arms against Portuguese imperialism and colonialism. And he took the bullets to his chest for you. I was reading a story today about a young sister who was in the ANC. And I forgot her name, but there's a photograph on the internet circling with her baby in her arms and a Kalashnikov rifle in her hand. And the South African security force caught her in Swaziland, and they tortured her and murdered her and shot her through the head and buried her. And when they had their truth and reconciliation, her killers came forth to say what they had done to this child and how they tortured her and how they butchered her and put a bullet in her head even though she was already unconscious and buried her in the shallow grave, and the family was able to go and retrieve her body finally. She did that for us. She could have gone without her business. She didn't need to have an AK-47 in her hands and in the bush. Do we need to understand what this is about? This is not about no ego tripping. I don't need to do this, but I have to do this. I came to the earth to do this. Susan Tatah, where she is, she puts on one of the biggest African festival in Germany, if not all of Europe, every year. And she's been doing it almost by herself, And I've just been reading about it, Susan, and it's so fantastic. I knew you told me about it. I knew you were doing this thing, but I didn't understand the enormity of the work that you were doing. And that's just one work that you're doing. And you have your boys, and you've sacrificed a lot to serve African people. People don't have a clue what people sacrifice personally, but you sacrifice with family and the other things to do this work. But it is our job. It's why the ancestors sent us here. I'm happy to do it. Yes, I don't want to die, but I've lived thanks to the ancestors. I'm almost 80 years old in a few months. So they've gifted me beautifully, I see Cassandra from my hometown. Hi, Cassandra. It's Georgetown, South Carolina. But you understand, to the people, I hope you understand what I'm saying. We're here because we are priests and priestesses. You don't have to be endowed by a religion or make you a priest or a priestess. The work you do make you that.
Absolutely.
You understand? We're here as healers. The work you do make you that. All right? We're here because we love you. You belong to me. We belong to you. Ubuntu. Right? We want to say, look on me.
Look on me.
I'm yours and you are mine. Right?
Yeah.
And so that when all of us have the same duty, I don't have no duty greater than any other Black man. I have no responsibility greater than any other Black man. I'm just trying to meet the responsibility I have. And it ain't about money, because 2 o'clock today, I had like $10 in my bank account. I got to take a train on Tuesday, and I'm trying to figure, I am not going to borrow no money from my wife. And somebody who owed me some money sent me $200 this afternoon. I said, that's the ancestors. Straight ahead, ancestors. I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? So people think because we're out here that we don't make money doing this. The little bit of money we get, we have to keep this machine going to get information to you. But personal money, I ain't got nothing. But I have greater than that. last night, and I was at my 90-year-old cousin's birthday party. And you thought she was a 60-year-old little girl. He was just having a ball. And what amazed me, there was a bunch of people, there was this family from all over the country had come, most of the young people, to see Grand Auntie and to say happy birthday. And a lot of them knew me, but was afraid to say they knew me until it was my time to speak to the family and say, I'm Professor James Smaller, and this is my cousin, and how dearly I love her, and give some of the history. And then people start coming and say, I knew it was you, Professor Small, like the musician or the other, saying, I've been listening to you for years. And some Susan, they watch Pan African Daily TV. That's where some of them know me from, and the others, Hidden Colors and Happy. Those are the three instruments. But people are trying to listen to us, and we give a lot. You don't have no idea the threats some of us have to go on from the system, the abuse some of us have to go from the system, and then just from some of our own people who don't believe as we do, who don't believe in Africa because they just don't know. But it's our job to show them. The breast of your mother carried the best milk for you to nourish yourself. Africa's our mother. Let me drink your breast milk. That will give me the immunity against the infection of Eurocentricity. And then I will be free. This is about freeing your spirit to be who the universe created you to be when the universe created the human being as a being. And so that's the key thing that we are talking. That's my beautiful wife. She thinks I've been ignoring all day, but I've been working all day long. I mean, things to do today.
Join us. Let her join us.
But she came to see if I want something to eat, if I'm hungry.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, this is so sweet. Great thing. The queen.
Well, it's been 54 years. And, in 54 years of working with someone else, and we came from different cultures. He was Caribbean culture, I was American culture. It took 40 years to get through the cultural problems in your daily life and to learn, oh, wow, Africa is the center of our core. Well, we knew this from the beginning. We started out in the OAAU together, Malcolm's organization, in the 1960s. So that's a long time. But even in that, you learn and get to know each other, because even when you get married, you're still fighting the same colonial, mental, intellectual contradiction that we are trying to teach you to overcome. We had to overcome them through struggle, both internal and external. But it took knowledge. It took history, so you can help your children and help your grandchildren and help your friends and help your friends' children and help the general public. That's what this is about. How do we become African again? That's all I've ever wanted. I don't care if I have to sleep in a tent side the road. That's cool with me. Just let me be free to be African again.
Let me be free African.
And so we come back to the trip. When we go on these pilgrimages back home, and you sit by one of those beaches and hear that ocean that took us away, and close your eyes and open and realize, I'm not on the ship that took me away. I'm actually back home where the ship took me from. You know what you got to go through it to know what it feels like. It's a rebirth. It's a coming into being again. I don't mean to go off that far, but just trying to let people understand what this is that we're trying to do, and we have been doing. We're not alone. There are many, many other brothers and sisters across the world that have been doing this. Susan is doing it in Cameroon and in Europe. I've been doing it here in North America. There's other brothers and sisters doing it and taking tours from the Caribbean. There are multiple others taking tours here from the US and Canada, from the UK, and others going back home for the same purpose. For the same purpose. We will be free. And don't get caught up on these other people. They're having a war with themselves. Let them have their war. Let us work on our freedom. Let us
Absolutely.
work on loving one another. I love Susan Tata. I've only seen her face physically one occasion when she came to the conference
By
here,
HAPI.
with HAPI. But I've known her before HAPI, and I've loved her before HAPI. And I love her even more as I've learned the work that this sister is doing and the sacrifice she makes. I met Miss Felicia some years ago in my basement, actually, with Brother Ba and Brother Taki, when HAPI was being given birth to, long before the movie came into being. And I watched this young lady, and I see her dedication, I see her commitment, I see her trials and tribulations, and I watch her raise them two beautiful boys into men. And I goes like, okay, that's what revolution is about. We all can run around with a rifle in our hands, on a beret on our head. I did that too. I thought that was the way. I had my little beret, I had my AK on my shoulder, I had my pistol in my belt, and that helped with some things at some point. But the revolution is greater than that. Because the first revolution is the one within your own soul. The first revolution is the resurrection of the African spirit that came with creation in yourself again. And then you can learn how to solve the external problem easily. But you're not going to solve this external problem unless you solve the internal anti-African contradiction that you call yourself. So that's how we at war doing what we do. I know some people think I'm a little bit crazy, but it's cool to not be in the contradiction of now. According to their standard, we are insane. But according to the standards of the universe, which is what gave birth to Africa, we are the most sane of the sane. Am I right, Sister Susan?
Very correct, Professor. I'm just going to add just a little bit of
Yes.
what you say about those that are labeling themselves. From what I know, it is an ancestral call, like we're saying. And honestly speaking, if you're called, then you've made it. But not everybody is also going to be called, because if we look at the issues that happened, just like we have the new form of neocolonialism, we also had it in the ancient African traditions and our systems. We had families that were actually, against even our spirituality. And most of these families, like if you committed something that was truly, truly bad against your ancestors, ban you out of the community. And so they would do special rituals. And we begin to find also these bloodlinings of those that don't know their ancestors. And because they don't reconnect, it's really a symbol of being cut out. What I tell this group of people, and I truly really feel sorry for them, for not being able to reconnect. But the modern days, if it's about those that go to church and they talk about the modern day saint, or the modern days priests and priestesses, like Professor is saying, is these are the people that are mediating between your formal ancestors and you, to connect you back, to reconcile you back. And I think Professor James is just really putting it in a format which is simple to understand, to give us the opportunity to feel to belong. But honestly, in the spirituality, not everybody would be chosen or called home. And we do also agree that being in the journey of reconciliation is not only just going to reconcile ourselves, it's a spiritual journey, like he always says it. So being a part of this, and if we hear million times, like you have been saying, Sister, Professor James has been using this word over and over. It is a mediation also. But we're going to come to the symbols, and we'll see how the symbols play a very unique role in reconciliation and conflict management, in African spirituality, in our science of, doing things. This is one of the process exactly that we're doing. the mediation that is going on about, trying to even just plead. What is the difference between the Christianity saying, this is the modern days Jesus that are dying for you, that are calling you back? Because if you look at the whole scriptures and the way they put everything, it's exactly what a professor is doing, or all the teachers, or all our elders, or even the people that are chosen, to bridge this. And that's why there is no price to pay. There is also no money making to do in it. It is very okay that we should not have, but what is necessary, like he said, I have the same experience. I don't have $1 in my account. I never would have, from what I know. But I don't lack anything. At any time, I want to execute and I never pray. Children never, but I cannot just keep, because the moment we come to serve. So everything that we have is for the people. We were not here in the space to make money, to be entrepreneurs. Even when we reach people and connect them back, we are only, and I'm talking to the listeners who always thinks this pilgrimage and this trips, or I need to pay a lot of money. At some point, you have to show the willing to be healed. You have to show that I recognize that I have this kingdom and kingdoms. You have to be able, all of us are paying the sacrifices, call it in whatever form. And the cheapest thing to do is to get a tour like Acne Tour, and to get a leader like Professor James. That's the most unique and the most blessings in this time around. If you are called on the street and this message gets to you and you're moved to do it, please do not even look at the money you're going to pay for it, because honestly speaking, I'm speaking as a spiritualist. I'm not speaking to promote these tours because I'm a part. I'm also saying that I'm also being sponsored, by HAPI and Professor James to be there. So to understand, it is not truly about money. Nobody's going to make money on these tours. I can guarantee you. The reconciliation and the healing is a gift that you're not only giving to yourself, but it's a gift that you're giving to your all generations. It's like you're canceling the sins of anything that you've been infected from these strange creatures, right? And you're cleansing through you're cleansing your whole lineage. So, like, I just want to plead on us, if you are among this trip, count yourself the chosen, and that your ancestors have picked you up to be at that point where you have to do it for the next generation, whether you're blood related or not. And that's why Professor and HAPI taking us to that is making you the voices to come back. That's what we do in our churches every day. I'm testifying of the goodness. I'm testifying of the HAPI is a movement like a church. If you are a Christian and you want to hear this word, there's no difference in it. There's some crossover to do. There's some reconciliation to do, but there's some prices to pay. And like the Christian Bible says, if you don't recognize me as your father, I will not recognize you as my daughter or my son. It's the same thing in African spirituality. And of course, we did know that everything came from the origins of which we're going to talk about. So I just want to encourage us and to thank us even that if you're part, particularly of this trip, that we three are going to be on and HAPI. It's this family. It's this family, but not everybody would see the kingdom of God. Not everybody will go home. Not everybody will be chosen.
Thank you, Dr. Tatah.
Yeah, thank you.
Normally we see Dr. Tatah as the host, and she sits back just kind of reluctant. And
I'm just happy. Can you just imagine?
She's got Brother Soul, she's got Joshua Hunger, she got everybody. But occasionally we get to see Dr. Tatah's spirit and to see what drives her to do what she's been doing for all these years. And so that's why we love you. And we're not afraid to say that. We don't sex you. We love you. And the African culture, sex and love is not synonymous. So in Western culture, somehow they've twisted that to a synonymy. No. In Africa, when I love you, I appreciate the God in you because I recognize the God in me. And the God in me loves the God in you.
Okay.
And so when we begin to appreciate the God in ourselves, we'll recognize the God in our other brothers and sisters. And when we do that, that is love.
That is love. That is love. Okay, before we kind of move on to we are going to get to the subject matter, guys. But Susan, Dr. Tatah, can you talk a little bit about your event that you have coming up in June?
Yes. Thank you so very much, Sister Felicia. It's really an opportunity to be able to talk about it. Most often, like Professor is saying, it's so difficult for me to talk about the things that I initiate. And that's why I thank you that you are on. It's the same thing like we do in everything. We cannot do the work and promote the work. Some people have to take it and run away with it and promote it. I've been in Germany for 28 years now. And from my 28 years being in Germany, 25 years, I recognized that we didn't have a platform that was uniquely represented by us, just like anywhere in the world. And we're going to see it, how even as symbols, right? As symbols is like our coin, our money that the others take and they use it in any format. And our culture is one of those things that was being, you can imagine in Germany, I mean, the African festivals before we started ours were done by Germans. Like, yeah, of course, I see it on your face like.
Okay.
And, but of course, like every other a person that knows a little bit about the potentials that we have, and they know the niche in the marketplace would sell this culture to any person. Talk about Africa in anything. All you need to do is just hold a drum, a djembe, and you are tapping it and you see the energy coming around. And so for quite a long time, the Germans, I'm talking about white Germans, not just black Germans as we are, had taken this culture from the original Ghanaian group that started it some 50 years ago. And for them was just connecting and then, grouping themselves as a family to just feel at home. And when like in Swahili, they say the Mzungu, no? It mean the Caucasians actually saw not just a culture that was thriving, but the money-making culture out of it. So they gathered these brothers, and we are always very generous. And they told the brothers, "Oh, we love your culture. Can you tell us more about it?" And they explained and explained. And what they saw was how to monetize this culture. And that's how they started. And these brothers and sisters knew they were kicked out of the business. And now, literally after some time, they became cleaners of that festival. The audience became cleaners and beggars, and they were the ones, and the bosses that took and knew how to make money out of it became now the owners of it. And I mean, this is the state on which I met Germany, and this kind of a sick, like I can say, I see you with the African culture. And so when you go to this kind of events that are non-African interested event, of course, it's about entertainment, getting all these big artists. It's really about just entertainment. It's really literally about the people, just like we know the same scenario. You come for the minerals and the people, you don't care, right? And when I discovered this niche, just 3 years of being in Germany after my master's program, I said, no, this has to change. I looked around and we organized and came together and we started doing it. But because we were representing the African culture, and by us, we will never get funding or grants, because that was literally kind of like a competition. But honestly, like in Africa, or like everything that we do, honestly, we have never looked for grants. We didn't even know what grants were. Literally talking about writing it. We just knew we came together and everything would just follow us. And that's how I started the Africa Festival in Germany. And now this year we're celebrating 25, the silver jubilee of it. And it's really more about a presentation of what we have done. Because for me, that is one of the things that gave me the honorary doctorate, that I'm Dr. Tatah now. Because they went into that research, it was impossible to penetrate the German culture with your culture and get the Germans dancing and eating your food. Because Germans, they're so proud of their culture, like they literally would not even taste your own, talk less of wanting to know how it. But they adopted it. We did it unapologetically. We were not asking people to come. We were just celebrating us. But we left the door open. So if you can join us, that's fine. We're not keeping anybody out. And it grew and grew. And after they thought it was just a small thing growing up, we had a lot of challenges. I mean, Professor James know after COVID, what we actually had, that was the deepest, but that's just a little bit of it. But now, you know, we're celebrating this. Why these tours are coming up, and you see Town Germany is just the name of my organization, which means the Africa We Want Network. That's the meaning for town. But we had to abbreviate it, you know, because the Africa We Want is literally very long. So the Africa We Want Germany is the origins of where our foundation is, and is going throughout the whole world. So before you met me on Pan-African Daily, it was just because we already had the media project also that accompanies the festivals. And now, because of COVID, we had to go online, and that's how Pan-African Daily TV was born also, out of that background and that history. So we're so proud to actually present our work. And exactly like Professor was saying, if you literally want to know the things that we have gone through, it is not speakable. Sometimes I'm ashamed to, not ashamed because of my work, I'm afraid to say it because nobody can believe that single-handedly this Africa could be represented in this kind of a format and take the whole world along with it. So it's a research program that we did with professors, with, you know, taking the art of state, the state of art from Africa, to build all these museums that you're seeing here. On the picture here, this is the city, Tübingen, which is a university city that all the German presidents have come out of from this city. And so through the festival, we have had even endorsement from 3 German presidents, from minister presidents. I mean, we've worked with Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Like, we literally break something that was untouchable in the German culture. Like, where do you even come to talk with these, you know, gods? And they will come to an Africa festival like that. So most people begin, that's when they started engaging. I would have been a politician, or even one of the top politicians in Germany. I said, no, I didn't come to work for Germany. I came to work for my ancestors and my people. And that's how we stayed on this project. So this year, we want to do a huge labyrinth of the 56 countries of Africa. This exhibition is going to be the first ever historic exhibition where we present all the countries and actually like pinpoint the particular art and culture, indigenous arts and culture, and the artists on the ground per each country. And we're going to get the 6th region, of course, because most people, like Professor James is saying, most of us don't even know that Africa has a 6th region, which is us here. And so we want to present this exhibition on a 1,000 meter square place to educate not only us, our children. And from this exhibition, it's going to go around the world. Like, people can take it, you know, and exhibit at every point where we are. Not only the exhibition, we're also going to do a food presentation. Because some of the time, Sister Felicia, we go to this event, or from the research that we've done for 25 years, you know, the art of which we devour and present goods that are us, our food, our nutrients and everything. It's just so shabbily, like we just eat and just go. No, this presentation about our food stuff is going to start from the root and start from the spices and start from the different types of, like for instance, if we take fufu or ugali, ugali is called in Swahili, that way. But in Cameroon, differently, is eaten differently. And those are all just one element that unites the whole of Africa. In music, we're going to do also a presentation. The djembe represents everything. Every other source of music, jazz, rock, pop, everything has its birth from Africa. How many people know that? So this kind of presentation and exhibition is more than just celebrating a festival. It is actually representing the work that we are doing here, but in a more conscious way. But one of the things that we don't want to miss to do is the colonial footprint on the continent of Africa. Of course, I would want to take Germany because and we do a case study on Cameroon first, because most of the colonizers can say, no, we were not in Africa, but the footprints are visible. And this we are not teaching them. And so one of the exhibition that would be there is going to actually show the colonial legacies, what we call the colonial legacies on the continent of Africa, and German colonial legacies in this case particularly. So we have the Southeast, what they used to call the Southeast Africa, which is the east of Africa, Namibia, Tanzania, and all those places. I've been to them. It's literally like small Germany. And this exhibition is called There Was Once Upon a Time. There was a country, for instance, named Cameroon in 84 and that. So it's really going to not just be have a festival where we celebrate, but it's really going to be the beginning of how we take responsibility to redefine our stories and to present them on the global platform. And of course, the last day is going to be a VIP gala where we're going to show the best art of, like you say, show how African extravagancy can be displayed. And it's really going to be awesome.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
It is.
You know what? And that also sounds like a lot of work for one person.
Wow.
Wow.
Not for one person. Exactly. It's the African community in Germany. When I say so, our platforms, every other platforms that I've led has always been through volunteering. And so my work actually for the 25 years convince and motivate Africans to accept to work for free as a contribution. And that's how we could build that mega empire out here. And if we had to deal on grants or making money, you spend your time writing business plans for people in the name of project grants, and they steal your concept. And before you know, you're out of the market and they start doing it. And that's what happens. So to protect some kind of like our own privacy too, there are a lot of things that we'll really unveil now, but the things that was going on the ground, and we keep losing money all the time, but we never gave up because our dreams became every time bigger than the mission, than the little 100,000s, 500,000 that we lost sometimes, because also not just that, because the services were becoming so expensive, making it a bridge for us to be able to continue to exist, but also some of the times terrible weathers like the tornadoes that actually would crash the festival down, and you're already into a million minus. But nothing stopped us for 25 years. And that's why it's the biggest platform for the African diaspora in Europe. And we're thankful to our ancestors to have done that. Wow, and we've died a couple of times doing it and resurrected.
I understand that. Wow. Listen, family, if you can make it to Germany and support, and let me put back up the website, because this is, and if you can't, like, perhaps get there, do you have a way where people can donate to your to the festival?
Of course, on the website, that's the organization website right here, the africaweone.com. Like people who cannot make it, you see the tours that you just put and that amount. Honestly speaking, that is redirected for, you have a lot of Africans on the continent who truly want to have a cultural and a business visit. And these are the ones that wants to look at brands, which, that's different. But coming to the festival, all you need is your ticket. You go online on the web. If you go through the Africa We Want, then you will get to the website of the festival where you can look at the programs. Of course, not everything is concluded now, but in case of donation, or you say, oh, Dr. Tatah, I can't be there, but this is my own support. We need those resources to actually, not only that, also to represent our organizations as a one powerful movement and a force. We really need that kind of sponsorship support. It's not like you just giving away, but also representation for me is very important. Representation means when they see us as a collective, the HAPI movement, the Ghana tours, which is coming up a month immediately after the festival. We're also going to share those tours. We're going to get the flyers, and literally probably we might connect you live, because we're trying to also get like a live a kind of a session to talk about the shows, the tours and some, and the ACNEC tours. Networking and collaboration is what we do in this festival. And remember that connecting ourselves for this short time and putting that brand of networkers, it's enough to frighten or to show the world what we're ready for the Africa that we want. So our representative is big and bold, and we want everybody to be on board. Give us your signature, and we would do that.
Yeah, I could imagine people not wanting to see that happen. So wow, 25 years. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And in Germany, and when I say in Germany, Professor is always saying it. In Germany.
Yeah, like wow, like in the belly of the beast. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, that's wow. Well, thank you. I'm just gonna take a quick commercial break, just a little things. Thank you, family, for all the Cash Apps. Special shout out to Karen Barnaby, and shout out to Miss Patricia. Miss Patricia emailed us for our address, our PO box, so that she can mail a check to us. And that's listen, we take money any type of way. Thank you so much, Miss Patricia. I want to just give you a shout out. I hope that you're listening, but that's what's up. All these things, everything that Dr. Tatah is talking about, this is a way that you can fund the movement when you can't, something necessarily be right, standing right there doing, something. This is you doing something, and it's very much welcomed and appreciated with much gratitude. Thank you. Family, make sure you are sharing, liking, and make sure you hit the notifications button on YouTube. Yeah, hit the little notifications button. And when you're on there, go to Pan African Daily TV and hit her notification button too.
Oh my God, thank you.
I remember when you started and you were saying that you were trying to get to 100,000, like you're up to 100,000. So that's great. Yes, family. Somebody is here watching us from Ghana. That's what's up, Daniel. We're gonna see you June 28th, June 25th to August. You know him, Professor?
Mm-hmm.
Right there. This family. All right, Daniel. So we're gonna see you in a couple of months, right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. All right. Well, this is really just a continued like fluid conversation. Well, but go ahead.
No, I just wanted to again tell Dr. Tatah how proud we are of her, and I hope people who heard and those who will watch later will hear about the extraordinary effort and the work that she and others who work with her are doing in Germany and in Europe, because it's not just affecting Germany, it's Europe. And that has been going on for a quarter of a century, 25 years. So you can appreciate when you see Susan sometimes look like she got a little bag under her eye at the time. That child has been working Okay. See, it isn't
That's
that
a
she
fun
was
fact.
hanging out late at night. She has been working on a major international project on behalf of the African world. And so that's what we are talking about when we say you don't have to be in a religion to be a priestess. You don't have to be in a particular religion to be a priest. Your work defines your priesthood. You understand? In ancient times, both in Africa and Asia and Mesoamerica, a priest or priestess didn't have any particular religion. The universe was the religion. The service defined the priesthood. The service we gave to the rest of the community. Now we got people coming from these organizations with the label of priest, but they're not giving the service. If we had all the priests and priestesses in the world doing service for the community, we would be fine. We would be absolutely fine and in need of nothing.
In need of
So
nothing.
these are the points that I try to squeeze through, so people can get. And so again, Dr. Tatah, we're proud of you. And we love you.
Can I just say one little thing, Sister Felicia?
Uh-huh.
Honestly, I'm saying it because Professor James said something. I'm born and raised in the continent, but I never knew my culture because we were raised in the colonial system. And I want us to really get this. I became conscious of my culture through these projects in Germany. Like I began to know Africa as I was in Germany. Yes. So like literally what will happen is during the festivals, the Germans visited because they were actually the majority group. And we had all these typical colonial projects. For instance, we had the church service and the church service biblical and everything. And the Germans before they say something, they'll observe. Most often they're not really sure if they're right or not. And after some time they started feeling comfortable and approaching me and like, Dr. Tatah, we came here to know about African spirituality, not know about what we brought. By then, I didn't know what African spirituality was because what we call African spirituality today is just how we grew up without redefinitions, the signs and the symbols. So, but because we grew up in the colonial system, I am a product of the colonial system. So when Professor is saying, when we say we are fundamentally, or what did you call the American systems, we should not forget that when they kidnap you, what they did in the background was to recolonize us. So that's the whole meaning of colonization. So all the Africans you see, migrant Africans coming from the continent and more colonized. And I think the people that now are going to replace this cycle is us in the diaspora, you that have done the research in the quest of finding where you come from, then to understand where you are. When I launched the first African festival, the German president at that time sent us a greetings. And I read that greetings, there was something that he said about it, but it didn't even make sense. He said, this continent is now on the move, but the beautiful thing is the African people are beginning to rediscover their culture. It didn't sit well with me. And I went through the statement each time, like, what did this federal president said, beginning to rediscover. But until I walk through the journey and rebirth, of course, what actually iced everything was Professor and the series that we had on Pan-African Daily. And that is when I went back to all these greetings and everything made sense. Of course, because they knew a lot, the colonialists knew our culture because they're the ones that separated us. That's why when they see meddle in the boundaries of Africa, it's because they know what the original boundaries were, that we had no boundaries. So when they are putting their mouth, it's because they know a lot of what we don't know. because they're the ones that divided and destroyed the original copy. So they know the origins of this. So when they say we are rediscovering, it means they already knew that that power has been given. It's loosed now. The Africans are now open. They would start knowing things that otherwise they would never know. And just to say, became African in my spirit, to understand symbols, to know my spirituality, to know actually what it even meant, is through these festivals. So when we are called by our ancestors and put on a mission, it's a rebirth of it. I'm just saying that when Professor was saying we have to forgive, or we don't have to blame our brothers on the continent, exactly what happened is also happened to us. So now all of us are refining or redefining ourselves and telling our own stories. Thank you very much.
You know, let me tell you what's so funny about this. So since you and I have been talking and I had some questions for you, you've actually answered every single question that I had for you, like everything. Because I was going to ask you, like, how did you, you know, like in you putting together this festival, or just becoming more African, you know, African minded, how did you use, you know, symbols? How did you use, I mean, or did you like, which symbols did you use, and how did you just use them to become more African conscious? Yeah.
In terms of symbol, I think the normal symbols that we use, not the kind of like hieroglyphics, you know, the like symbols that are form of writings and deeper meanings of that. That I got to know about Ma'at. But the one a beautiful thing is it exists in all our cultures. Even when you came up with the topic, then I went to look at, what is Adinkra? Of course, I just knew about Sankofa in a different formats and the others. But when I went deeper into it and to understand these symbols and what it represents, us physically is the symbol. What we normally were using, like for instance, communication drums, of course, symbols of normal clothes, which are actually on the print, but without actually knowing the messages behind. Like in the village, I begin to relate with the symbols that I see in Adinkra, like the symbol of Ma'at, the symbol of feminine as a goddess. It's typical in the walking stick of my father. And I used to accompany him to traditional spaces, or the cowries, and or the feather. And when we go back to Kemet and look at the feather as on the feather that, you know, as one of the hieroglyphics, it's just practically done. In Cameroon, we have the red feather as a thyroid. You know, in South Africa, of course, they have this headwear. You all know it, which is a symbol for leadership and warriorship and power. Okay, so but because it becomes it becomes a natural thing that people wear too. But the symbols were only put on by the gods or the goddesses or the queens. But today, everybody this was given to me in South Africa by the Zulu king. You know, and this symbols for us, we manifested it through our clothing, through our drumming, through all the instruments. But ask me if we knew about our own letters, apart from Amharic. This was literally not actually the case. So our symbols were actually seen in us as representations.
Well, you know, yeah, you know, that's interesting that you say that, because that's one of the things, you know, when I was talking to Professor, I was like, you know, there's so many symbols that we use in America, but we don't even know that they started like in Africa. We just take them for face value. You know, like, oh, that's their logo or whatever, but we don't understand that we actually, that was a writing source. You know, the first writing, that we did, but we don't know that it's ours. And so, you know, imagine like what you're like when you're talking about the symbols that you've noticed throughout Africa and the power that gives you. And so I wanted to, and maybe And in fact, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask Professor, because I want you just to kind of have the conversation that you and I had about symbols, Professor, when I was asking you, and I was like, just asking your thoughts about the Adinkra symbols. We'll start there because those are from Ghana, or originated from Ghana.
Well, they're from the Akan. Who live in most places.
Yes.
Ghana is just one of the spaces they live in. They live in Ivory Coast. They live in other places. And they migrated there, many of them from Mali and other areas. So what the symbols are, the way we create language, it becomes the alphabet of our consciousness, right? Remember, there's a time in history when most people are not literate in the sense we mean literate today, where everybody read. So how do we communicate with each other concepts, ideas, and principles? That's where the symbols come in. So in ancient Kemet, you had this bird that had a head, a man head, and he's called the Ba. Ba means the soul. And that's everything that makes a person unique. So, or we have the two hands upstretched. And we see in churches today, people be praying when the spirit get good, they do this. Nobody ever asked how to do this. But in ancient Kemet, that meant spirit.
The spirit
is the vital essence that runs through me, that comes from the divine. That's my ka, And so we do it in many of the religions, we do it. Or we see this symbol, the flag. It means Netcher. Every nation has a flag, right? And the flag is always considered to be the highest symbol of the nation. It defines the nation. It describes the nation. So when you look at the sign for the Netcher, for the divine, it's a flag. It's a banner, right? And so if you look at most American corporate symbols, they're all African symbols. They're either the sun or the moon, all of them, the pyramids, and all of the major corporations, they're using our symbols. That's an Adinkra symbol right there.
Target. Like everybody should know Target.
But like once we become cultural conscious, we begin to see, if you look at America, you go into the South, Charleston, New Orleans, and what you're going to see is all of this artwork in the what do you call these things? The metalworking, the fences and stuff. You see all kinds of Adinkra symbols in there. We put them there because we're the ones that made the fences, right? So we're having a conversation with ourselves as we're doing the work. And so you go around Charleston, Virginia, and you see all of this artwork, African artwork here. Many of these symbols you see in the fencing, the what is it called? The wrought iron fencing.
That's
all over America.
Yeah.
But we took it for granted, these things with Europeans, until we started studying African. We're like, oh my God, that's Sankofa. Oh my God, that's showing the warrior symbol. Oh my God, that is telling us how to unite, the unity symbol. And it's in the artwork all over the United States. And I'm sure in much, especially in the UK. So we need to begin to become culturally literate. That when we're reading the Adinkra symbols, you're looking at not just an alphabet, but like the Medu Netcher, it goes beyond just being an alphabet.
Yeah.
It is representative of a concept as well as being an alphabet. An alphabet is where you use letters to make up a word, and a word is a concept. But each of the letters in the word is themselves a concept, an idea, a principle, a description of something probable or possible. And so you put them together to make up words, and we only see what is called the literal meaning, the visual meaning. But if we break the word down, like they say, what's that word they use? Do the etymology of a word, where you're studying each letter in the word that ends up making up the word, you find that you have a whole story going on there. It leads up to the meaning of the word. And so these symbols are extraordinary. is not as simple as assigning A, B, C, D as this chart is showing. That helps. But there's so many more Medu Netcher than there
Absolutely.
is alphabet. So
Yeah. But
you can't just, you could do it like this to kind of get away with it, to have a little conversation about language. But this doesn't begin to
it doesn't begin.
trying to explain Medu Netcher.
Yeah.
And the if you would let me pull away for a minute, I want to show you a work done by a brother from Ivory Coast. His name is Nyangora Bura. And it's a 3-volume work. I should have pulled it out, but it's only going to take me a second.
Okay. You know, and I'm showing this family because this is like this is almost like a European version of the hieroglyphics, because it's just like, you know, and this is kind of how they view things. It's like, this means this and this means that. But the reality is that if you've ever taken a Medu Netcher class with Ifudishi, you know, you understand that these symbols are so entrenched with so many other things, and you remember, you learn what the symbols mean, and that's how you remember what they mean in its totality, if that makes sense. But now, just like,
if you can just see a copy of this, it's in English and French. It's called the Akan World of Gold, right? And so the Akan World of Goldworth by Buddha, who's an extraordinary, he's an ancestor now, but he was an extraordinary anthropologist who I had the pleasure of meeting on a couple of occasions, thanks to Dr. Jeffries. And so we go inside of the book, and he opens it with, of course, Sankofa. But the Sankofa that's standing on top of the step pyramid.
Okay.
And this is not a modern thing. This is an ancient symbol. You see? So you can see the connection between West Africa and East Africa. All right. And you know, Sankofa literally means go back and fetch it, meaning go back into your ancestral past and bring that knowledge forward to today to use. Let me show you another one that he exemplifies. But Bura, now this is only 1 volume. This is 3 volumes of work. Now this one will shock the world. You know what the Dingy from Fu? Susan, do you know Dingy from Fu? The
No.
Dingy from Fu. Here is the Dingy from Fu. Now,
okay, yes.
Yeah, this is older than Germany. This is older than Israel. The Dingy from Fu, which they have taken from Africa and called the swastika.
Oh, you know what?
It's deeper. The meanings are much deeper than you can imagine. I'm gonna do one more. Show you one more to see how profound.
But you see the symbols on Louis Vuitton, on Gucci.
Yeah. Now they did not go. These people did not go on a trip to Kemet with you. All right. These are the ancient symbols of step pyramid.
Wow.
Right? These are gold weights. These are Adinkra symbols. The Akan gold weight system. The Adinkra is a part of the Akan gold weight system. Right? And that's volume 1. This is volume 2. You know, and then there's volume 3. Where he really gets heavy into the culture as being expressed on a daily basis. That Susan was showing you, the headdress with that feather on top, which is a symbol of what we call Ma'at. But those were the headdress of royalty. They would remember all king and queen mothers. They're also priestess and priest in the ancient society.
I want to get that book. Those books. So, those are nice.
There is so much that and for people, you can actually Google, right? Adinkra symbols and meaning, explore African symbols, right? And you will find copies of all the Adinkra symbols
Oh yes, yes, I
Yes,
love
I have
yeah,
that one. There's 62
yeah, they're like the
on
number one. Yeah.
62.
So it's not difficult to get into me right on your telephone.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
I
see,
gotta.
you see the target symbol right there. Now the
Mm-hmm.
target
So this.
symbol
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
is called Adinkra Hini. Well,
Mhm.
Hini means king. So that is the symbol of authority that target is using. Look at it right there. Now bring it up closer so you can see target.
Okay, wait, let me. Okay,
How they
wait.
just took it, you see, they just took it right straight out of Africa. And
Mm-hmm.
you see the one above target, that is a symbol also of Sankofa. You see that in the ironwork all over Louisiana, Charleston, and other places like
All over.
Yeah.
right? So, yeah. So we have been educating the world all along, and we have not quite been educating ourselves in recent times. Now that, as Susan says, all of us are in the process of rebirthing African consciousness. We are rediscovering ourselves. And in rediscovering ourselves, we are rediscovering our sacred science. Our sacred science, they're not just symbols. They're really the African interpretation of cosmic energy manifestations. African interpretation of cosmic energy manifestation. If the energy could be seen that represent this concept, this is what it would look like, according to our ancestors.
You know what? Yes. So you know what, Professor, I wanted to bring this one up because I think you mentioned this one before, but this is also where Louis Vuitton got their signature symbols from.
And Gucci. And Gucci.
And Gucci.
And Gucci. Yes.
But you gotta understand, they're riding on African spiritual energy because shapes, we may think nothing of it, but every shape has an energy. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If anything you do is an energy. So these people have been using they call them they try to make us think voodoo is negative. They got the biggest voodoo operation in the world going on. While playing us not to use our own sacred science. Well, they're using our sacred science every day.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
So how do we start to use this information? Like, what are some ways
study history? History erases the mystery. It's not something you're going to learn just like this.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a process, but history will allow you to open yourself to the universe. Because you think I can teach you something, you have no idea what the universe will teach you when you make yourself available to be taught.
Absolutely.
Okay. And a lot of the great leaders you've seen, they didn't study much of what they knew in the books. They received it from the energy that exists as divine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think we really need to lean into this.
Yes, Sister Susan wanted to comment on something.
No, I just, Professor, I wanted to add, because we see the symbols, if you look at even our artifacts, what they call artifacts, our spiritual carvings and paintings, they're all full with the symbols. When I went back home to Cameroon, and after the symbols, you could see even the chairs that are being carved, that they see the symbols. But because we literally did not know what the symbols, we thought it was decorations. The way had a
if you go to
story.
Ghana and you see 50 stools, they would have 50 of the different symbols carved in the stool. And when I first saw it, I thought that looks really cute. That's really nice. Until I realized, each one of those represents one of those Adinkra.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. 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 You know, you start getting. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I wanted to talk about what you said. How can we use it? You know, of course, when you know the meaning, like I said, most of the symbols are used for conflict resolutions. Yeah. And most of these symbols are just communication. Like if you know the meaning behind it, For instance, there were symbols, or there are symbols that you see a woman, you know she's married. What is she? You just know this is somebody's wife, so I don't need to. But there are also symbols that I discovered, which actually would give the authorization, right? The message, because you carry that symbol, it gives an authorization to say, you know, I'm a queen, but I'm searching, for instance. Like every little symbol, and most of the symbols also were used for tradition and healing. Like if you go to the shrines, like we say, you have mostly the symbol, the most celebrated is the cowries. And the cowries is actually, for me, I actually really studied cowries, because cowries is everything from which all these other symbols is feminine, is the womb of the mother, is every single thing. That's why it was one of the symbols that was used as a currency for power, for exchange of goods and services, exactly all these ones too. But also one thing that I realized with these symbols were also totems. They represented every totem in the community. Like if your father or your family came out from the totems of snakes, what today they call horoscopes and everything, and that symbol would actually be the presence of the carvings that will represent, or the material, or the stool, the installment when it will be. So it's not just like Professor is saying, it's not just something that is so sacred. Like if we would start knowing it, my father used to say they use it even to fight wars. Like you could use a symbol and you would disappear and appear in Europe. We do know that ancient African people were flying. There were spirits that flew, and before the stuffs like aircraft came into, they saw this came from the African spirituality and sacred science of symbols, that somebody can sit here, hold a bird with a feather, and then find himself in another place in time and space, right? So the symbols, if you ask how we want to use it, if we know the meaning, and like Prof is saying, we can do everything with it, from architecture that we see, from healing, from communication, from conflict resolution. For instance, is because we're still in the colonized system. All our wars that we are fighting, the ancient wars, my father used to tell me the enemy was coming and you hold a symbol and you become water, or you become a rock, or you become, but because they came and stole this wisdom, we start talking, when we talk about wars, we talk about weapons. No, we have to first of all think, what are the symbols that we used to beat, even to fight the colonizers? We didn't have wars, but they were only the symbols that were used, you know, in a manifestation. People became trees, or they became a serpent, or, you know, they transformed into different types of totems. So I think this is the beginning. Yes, Professor?
That's high science, Sister Susan. It might be a little too high, but that is high sacred science. And not to cut you off, I'm not talking about secret societies and things that should not yet find wings, but it's good to give them wings for a moment while we let them walk and learn how to fly. And we see 3 faces on your computer screen right now, right? We're not connected by any wires, right? How are you able to see these 3 faces? One from Germany, one from Harlem, and one from New Rochelle, New York, talking to you. No wires attached, no strings attached. How are we here? The energy that makes us up is syncretized with a specific energy frequency that broadcasts the energy that is us. Now there's no wire hooking us up. This shouldn't even be happening. This is a spiritual manifestation that they call technology, but some stuff they don't learn from us in terms of what Susan was just talking about. If you want to see it in reality, what you're looking at here is high-class voodoo right now. Are y'all hearing me? Don't get
Yes.
lost, right? How can it be possible that I'm talking to you, you're in another state, another country, another city, another household? There is no physical hookup. There's no wire from me to you. So how is this energy that is me being projected on a screen in your living room? What is the science of knowing my frequency? Right?
Mhm.
See, we live in a world where we're being played out of pocket, but we don't even know what the pocket is, so we don't even know we're being played. Just as you can project me here now, if I am trained enough, I can project myself. We actually do it all the time unconsciously, but because we're not conscious and in control of it, we can't use our energy to really cause the change in the dynamics we need to cause.
Absolute. So true, Professor. Thank you for that.
Yes, Sister Susan, I'm going to have to call you Mother Susan because you carry some heavy stuff today. You kicking it like a soccer game in the middle of Africa, girl.
Like a pocket game in the middle.
Well, we invented soccer too, so don't let them, because Europe was having fun with it. That's okay. We invented it.
Yeah.
You know, we were kicking balls around before they know what a ball was.
Yeah.
But
And so,
the thing is, when we're talking about these symbols, we're talking about Patah. Patah is considered to be the father of the beginnings, but he's considered to be a person of craftsman, but he's called a primordial hill. So he's represented. Patah is simply matter, living matter. You know, you're talking about Ra. Ra is simply the living energy. When the living energy and the living matter comes together, then you get all of the other things we call creation.
Mm.
But we have to express it in some way. And so that's how our symbols come about. We're talking about the Ankh, the breath of life, the key of life.
right here.
Mm.
So you're talking about the womb of the woman and the fallopian tubes on the side.
Mm.
But you have the extension going into the womb. That is not just the vaginal channel, but that is the penis of the male entering the vaginal channel. You don't get no life without that coming together of those two elements. One is bringing one element of the universe to unite with another element of the universe to recreate itself.
Mm.
Now, if God is the creator, then who are we? Because if I do not enter your sacred space, we cease to be. So we are the creating aspect of divinity.
Mm.
We are that aspect of the divine that creates in all species, of course.
Ashe.
So, but when we understand, we talk about energy and matter. And again, we bring you back to the screen that you're watching. How are you able to see Brother Smaller? We just take it for granted. There's Brother Smaller on the screen. But how do they get me from my little room in my little humble house here in New Rochelle into your living room when there's no wires connecting? And even if there were wires, you still have to explain how the energy travels over the wire. But we are traveling through the air with billions and trillions of other pieces of information without becoming polluted or diluted in the other information.
Mm.
And arriving at your specific place because we on the right frequency. We on the right energy vibration. What if you can do that same energy vibration with your own mind? Because you have ancient information, training, and the wisdom that come from the training to do that.
Mhm.
Well, it was a black woman. I like it.
Shrines in Africa. You know, they don't want you in the shrines. Stay away from those shrines. Stay away from those ancient space. Because you might learn something and they're going to be in trouble.
Mm.
Remember, we put together Christianity for them. It was our priests that did that. They brought us there at the Nicene Conference. Most of the people at the night, even the Pope has admitted this when he was in Cameroon a few years ago. The Pope admitted that the majority of priests at the Nicene Conference that created the Bible came from Africa. The Pope before this Pope, right? And so, but we knew that. We've been teaching that for decades. But we also gave them the Quran. And we gave them the Torah. All those books represented a body of information describing how one should behave in society, right? To be at ma'at, truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, and reciprocity. Those books are nothing more than documents that use folklore, metaphor, and allegory and stories to set examples of how behavior can determine outcome in your life. For example, right? That's all that but then someone else has messed with our minds so that we're looking at water and thinking it's something else. And the three of us are sitting here, right? We're in what? Air, right? But do you realize air is water?
Yeah.
Do you realize we're actually submerged in water? It's just that it's so thin. It's thinner than the water in this bottle, but it's still water. We still amphibious. And if you go into the Yoruba and they talk about the great Olokun and Yemaja, they talk about that part of water which does not get penetrated by sunlight and no photosynthesis can take place. That's Olokun. But it meets Yemaja, which is that part of water which gets penetrated by sunlight and photosynthesis take place. And it is that intersection where life begins. I hope that ain't too far out there for people. Even for those of you who are into the Yoruba, understand that this thing we're calling air is as much water as the thing in the river, which is just more dense than the one we breathe in every day. And if you don't think you're breathing in water, look at your breath. Blow it out and see what comes up. It's just that it's so thin, we've been taught not to think of it as being water. Or liquid.
That's share.
Yeah.
But we are matter and we are energy. And somebody is taking my matter and my energy and sending it all over the world without it becoming convoluted, without it falling apart. How are they able to do that? Why am I in your living room, people? That's your problem for the week. Solve that problem. How am I in your living room? How are they able to project my energy, right, through the air without bumping into you?
Well, coincidentally, Professor, Kenneth put up the Black woman who invented the ability to do what you're talking about. And I wonder, she's 69 years old, Dr. Marion Croak. And I wonder, like, how much, how did she think about that? Like, how did that come to her, to help engineer that process?
An ancestor.
Yeah. I wonder, who she was having conversations with. Or who was having conversations with her?
You don't have to have conversations. The universe
exists.
The universe exists in all of us. We're like, either we're prepared to receive or we're not. And that's what that thing called education is about. Someone can take you and design the energy that you call yourself such that it's not a receptor. And you find that most of the people who were the great leaders were the people who had the least amount of education or came from the most humble background. Because most of what you're going to receive, you receive it before you're 10 years old. Everything else is tools to help you express what you've received.
Absolutely.
And if you look at the background of the people who do these extraordinary things, they come from the most humble of background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's the universe. The universe exists. And we are only a speck of it. The earth is now spinning on its axis, is rotating around the sun, and then is moving in the sun's orbit as the sun is speeding through the Milky Way, all at the same time. And we are totally unaware of it. We think we're standing on some flat land someplace. We don't even realize we are objects in outer space.
Yeah.
And in this energy dance, there is all kinds of transmissions and communications that's coming from the universe into each and every one of us. But have we been trained, or are we able to receive what's coming in? And if we receive it, are we able to translate it, at least fragments of it, and put it back out? What Sister Croak put out was just a fragment, dust. All right? Just dust. That dust was extraordinary when you're dealing with something that is incapable. If you just look at, show me 5 discoveries that any white person in America came up with. Significant discovery. Show me 5.
We don't need to. There isn't it. They don't have 5.
Right. But they made the world think they have thousands.
No, you know what? They're good marketers.
Use our mind. Europe would not exist if it wasn't for the mind of the Africans.
Yeah, I think they're good marketing people. They can. Yeah, they're able to take something that you created, mix it all around, and make it seem like they created, and have you pay 3 to 4 times as much money for your stuff back, and you don't, and then you get it back and not even know it's your stuff. So
that's what we must also learn.
Yeah, whatever there is, they get a gold star. For that. So okay, just a couple of things, and we're gonna wind down. Professor, could you please show us those books again? Every 25 people in this chat is talking about these books. It's like they're $1,000.
I know when I got them.
My man O said they're $1,000 from A Books. He's trying to look for them.
Yeah, you just have to keep looking until you find. These are extraordinary documents now.
Yeah, you're gonna need to leave that for me. You're gonna put my
book
name
3,
on.
The Icon World of Gold. Wait.
Let me
see if I can show you something inside book 3. Where it's
Oh, see, you gonna keep teasing us because none of us can put our hands on these books. They're beautiful though. And family, while he's getting that together.
In book 3, what they show you is what Sister Susan was talking about. It was showing you the symbols in the cloth. It was showing you the symbols in the hairdo of the women. When, for instance, I would walk into a village and I'm a stranger to the village, but just by seeing the dress of the women, by seeing the hair of the woman, I know this woman is married, this woman is single, this one is available for marriage. All of those are already, it's already exists. If I know the culture, I won't violate it. Because I know, oh, she's a married woman, I stay away. Oh, this is a young girl, she's not yet prepared for marriage, I stay away. Oh, this is a young girl who's ready for courtship. So then I need to find out who's her family. Because I can't talk to her. I've got to go talk to her uncle, her father, and her brothers.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, in the marriages, most marriages in Africa, you've got to pay the brothers. Once you don't talk to the mother and you don't talk to the father, now you have to pay the brothers a tribute and then make a promise to the brothers that you will take care of their sister in the same manner that they took care and protected her. And the brothers will hold you responsible for that. It's an Amazon have them for 6 months.
So listen, you know what, Professor? We're gonna listen. You literally got Dr. Susan Tatah a whole trip to Ghana. You can just go ahead and get these books for me.
Okay.
And mine it's cheaper.
Well, no, the next one, we have to try and see who in Ivory Coast that, Professor Bora passed away. I always thought it was under mysterious circumstances.
Not the mysterious circumstances.
You don't understand the value of these books.
We do. We're looking. No, we understand. We are 100%.
This is the stuff that the whole world calls secret society stuff.
Wow.
He wrote another book. It's called Dramology.
But you know what? It's so interesting. He had the step pyramid. Like he had, I'm about to roll out to New Rochelle tonight. We got to look at this. That's what's up.
It's just so extraordinary what they have done. And in this book 3, where they deal with all the whole craft of the chiefs and the kings, and they deal with the swords and the stools and the kente. It's magnificent. And then in book 2, where they're looking at the different figurines. I wanted to find something they're dealing with the beads and different symbols here, but this is an example of a gold weight stool. Oops. Can you see? Yeah. Now, that particular stool, it's let me show the English. We have a group of chapters of figurine representing the craftsmen, looking at the craftsmen. Those seats covered with symbolic designs. And each of the stool represents something. There's a stool that represents motherhood. There's a stool that represents fatherhood. There's a stool that represents the woman. There's a stool that represents the man. There's a stool that represents kingship. There's a stool that represents unity. All of it. And you will see somebody, if you go into a chamber in a palace, and you'll see where the king sits, and then you see multiple other stools where different chiefs and division of chiefs sits. Each of those chiefs represent a concept, an idea, and principle in the philosophical expression of the whole nation. The person in the middle, who is the king, the stool listed on it, is almost always white, because they represent what? When they sit on that stool, they become the ancestors. When they're standing up talking to you and chit-chatting outside, they're the king. But when he comes in and sits on that stool, they're the ancestors. Because there's just so much in our culture that we got to get back to.
It's so rich and powerful. It makes you feel so good when you start looking at these things. You're like, that's my stuff. It helps you with self-identity. It helps you with showing up in the world in your African mind. Like it's very, when I started those Adinkra symbols about 25 years ago, and I was like, wow. And then I started singing them everywhere. Because once then you start singing them. You're like, wait, that's our stuff. Like, and so,
exactly.
But then the other piece is that, like using it, like, let's talk practicality. Like, when you are forming your business and you have your logo, like all of these things, this is how, like I was looking at a bunch of different like businesses in Ghana, because we're going to be going there. And I was just looking at stuff and I was like, in the symbolism is in everything, it's in everything. And it also, I remember something you said, Professor, about, like when people like call their selves like Maad, or they call themselves different names, or they wear symbols. And it's not, it's supposed to be that these are things that you're aspiring to do or to be.
Let me show you how powerful spirit is. I'm going to show you something. Since we're here.
Well, we got to have a little live in your office. You got the statues. Faye was face like me. He's like, yeah, they are.
What do you see here?
Oh.
I see Pan-African flag for first things, the colors.
Yeah, the colors.
And
you see the face of a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
The lips. Love the lips.
The lips, the nose, the eyes. This was made for me by my 6-year-old, who's now 15. But when she made this and brought it home to me, she was 6 years old.
Oh.
Okay, and that's why this where did this spirit come from that a 6-year-old in a classroom in America could make such a thing?
If she's living in your house with all those statues and like everything you have around, you've created that in her subconscious. You know what I'm saying?
But for a 6-year-old to produce this is my spiritual masquerade that my baby produced.
Yeah, okay? That's dope.
She's now 15.
Oh.
And so I brought this out today because I have to show her that now that she's being challenged by the world on all levels, I got to bring her, restore her memory. Right? So I want to show her this is what you did as a child. And when she was on this one, when she was 4 years old, she made this for me.
Yeah, this is your kid. Like this, she know who her grandpa is. Who her grandpa is. Yeah.
But it took a spirit to come and penetrate her for her to do these things.
Yeah.
And what happens over time if you don't keep that spirit strong, the world will take her away.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? And so that's why you got to stay with the history, stay with the culture, immerse your children in it. Yes, they got to be out in the rest of the world with the rest of the world, but you have to constantly reinforce them so that that same spirit that came to her at 6 years old to create that masquerade for her grandfather, when I didn't know she even had a concept of the masquerade, right?
Wow.
That she could do that. So, but anyway, this same child, that's my daughter, youngest daughter's oldest child, came into being because my daughter was told, I forgot the disorder that my children had, that they could not produce children. They had a situation where their mens would come on and stay on for months at a time, or they wouldn't see a mens for months at a time. Right? So they were both told they would never produce children. But the spirit from Africa allowed them, all of my children went to Africa before they were 16, with me. And so one of them that was told she would never produce, he has 2 children. Another one that was told she would never produce, he's got 3 children. Another one that was told she would never produce, she got 2 children. If I could call the name of the situation, endometriosis is what one of them had. And then the other 2, that name is a little too complicated for me. But this last one, the youngest one, was told that never will this happen. My priest mother, Nana Puasa, who's the chief priestess of Ashanti, came to America, laid that child on her lap, and 9 months later, that baby came who did this mass. And when she was a little girl, when she first started talking, we would say, "Where are you from?" And she would always say, "I'm from Ghana." She could barely talk, but she could say,
"Wait, this is the one that's coming? You're bringing her? Is this the same?"
Yeah. This will be her first time. Yeah.
Okay.
But the priestess who gave the spirit to my child was Ghanaian. And that baby, when she first started to talk, would tell us she was from Ghana. That is the same one at 6 years old made this masquerade mask. And at 4 made the all-seeing eye. That's now struggling in the world that she can't fit in. And so we have to fight to protect her until she can understand how to see herself in that world, but not of it. And that's hard work. Anyone who have children, both of you have children, you know what I'm talking about. How do we allow our children to be in the world, but to be clear in their consciousness that they're not of that world?
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about, Susan, when you were saying decolonizing yourself, realizing that I thought I was African, but I realized it was their colonized consciousness. But now I have to learn how to be an African consciousness. That's what we all have to be. When I was little, I was Black. I thought I was who I was supposed to be. And when I learned at 17, 18 that I was African, I thought all I had to do was be African and put on the right kufi, the right buba, And I didn't realize I had to put something inside the kupi to become African again. And so, and with that said, I want to say Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem, to all my brothers and sisters, Muslims around the world. I'm not Muslimim. I'm a traditional Africanist who have understood and have been a Muslimim. And of course, I've been to Mecca. So I'm al-Hajj Amin Shahid, you know. So, but it's a journey. We're journeying home. And we must cross all of these planes to get home. You understand? I started in the plane of Christianity. I crossed into the plane of Islam. And then I'm sitting on a street in Jeddah, broke, hungry, crying, and they didn't think I could make it home. And a Yoruba man in full Yoruba buba in the middle of Saudi Arabia came and asked me, what is wrong, my brother? And I go, oh, sir, I don't speak none but English. Because he said it in Yoruba at first. And then he said, so I speak English. And that man bought me an airline ticket home and bought me some food and saved my life.
Saved your life.
And I remember asking him, what are you doing here if you're not Muslim? He said, my father is. I came to bring my father, but I'm not. And the spirit, that was all I need for the spirit to tell me where I had to go from there.
Yeah.
That's deeper than most people understand. Understood it if you had not gone through it with me in Jeddah, in Mecca, seeing the thousands and thousands of people who came to Mecca just to die, and seeing the thousands and thousands being carried around the Kaaba in a circle on the board every morning, and wondering which morning that was going to be you.
Dang.
And that man came and said, I will help you. And he brought me home. He bought that ticket. I didn't have a penny. And the spirit was so powerful when I got to Kennedy and the CIA people who had arrested me in Jeddah, and I had escaped from them. And so they kind of pulled me over in Kennedy, and the young CIA boy was being abusive, and the older one made him stop searching my bag and told me to send my bag on to Boston, where I lived with Malcolm X sister at the time. And he went in his pocket, this is the CIA, and he gives me $50. He said, Mr. Small, we were watching you. We know you're hungry. He said, buy some food. He gives me $50 to buy some food. You can't create this stuff. You can't make it up. So I said, okay, when the ancestors have the CIA feed you when you're hungry, that's real.
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't even.
Particularly when they're looking for you, they should have just stopped you.
Yeah.
They just say they no food.
Yeah.
Wow. This is awesome,
So
Professor.
we're
Thank
talking
you so
about
much.
African culture and our sacred science that creates our divine spirit. Knowing our history leads us to studying and learning our sacred science, and then we can we give birth to the African spirit, which is our deep. Oh, wow.
So, Larry, we got to picture again. Well, I have the same sweatshirt on, but it's a HAPI shirt, so you can keep wearing it again.
Oh my God.
Yes. So, you know, Professor.
You look so regal. You look so regal.
I know. Listen, that Dr. Susan Tatah, you think she's something when you just listening to her right here, but when you in her person, it's like, I mean, you pick me up, like, well, physically and mentally. I was like, oh my God. That was like, Dr. Susan Tatah is the bomb. Listen, family, Professor, can you just talk? Because we're gonna, I mean, we can just sit on this we can sit on this all night. But
I have another call I have to go on soon.
Yes. So Professor, can you just talk to everybody for just a couple minutes about Magical Kemet? I'm gonna put the link in the chat, everybody, to get your tickets. Talk about Magical Kemet, just for
Well, Magical Kemet is going to be a conference, a forum that's at LIU, Long Island University, Brooklyn campus, featuring my big brother, Baba Ifakunle, who is the master Yoruba priest and have been for decades, studied under the best of the best. Of course, I have not yet met Mama Ella, but I've heard a lot about her, an extraordinary young mind. And of course, we got the great Kaba Komeni, who is an author, a teacher, a counselor, a spiritual guide. And then we have Mfidishi Chahudeme. Now, Mfidishi is not his name, that's his title, meaning he is the high priest in the craft. He teaches Medu Netcher. He's one
He's the one that took the pictures.
Yeah. Oh, he's one of the top martial artists in this country.
Absolutely.
Kupe and Gume. He brought the African martial arts to life in America. And of course, myself, I will be there talking about African spiritual consciousness and African sacred science. This is on the 23rd of March. And the LIU campus, that's on Flatbush Avenue, Africa Flatbush in the corner, but you can't miss it. It's not far from the Brooklyn Bridge, not far, just a couple of blocks up from the Manhattan Bridge on Flatbush Avenue. LIU, the LIU Brooklyn campus. And you need to be there the 23rd of March at 1:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. So, you know, we're going to be dropping some heavy sacred science. Dropping some serious historical jewels.
I like that. You said historical jewels. So now if you can't make it, like if you're not in New York City, or if you're here, if for whatever reason you can't make it, listen, right here, I put the link in the chat. Go to HAPIFilm.com and get your live stream ticket. You have a few days to watch it. And ingest it, because it's not a thing, you know, you look, but then you need to go back. Like I was telling Dr. Tatah, I looked at One Africa. I've been looking at One Africa. It's been on rotation. It's either usually One Africa or HAPI that's in rotation at my house, especially when I need like inspiration. And I was listening to her speech and I was like, it's a masterpiece. I mean, we were there and we felt it. We were in full blown tears. Myself, Baina Bello, like it was really beautiful, but to go back and to listen to what she's saying again, it's nice. And so family, right here, this live stream, if you can't make it, get the live stream ticket. Don't wait till the day of at 12:50 and be like mad because the email hadn't come to you yet. Okay, just get it now, family, get it now. It's $20. You can sit, watch it with your family, and I hope you bring some kids, even if they're not your kids, bring them and sit them down there and watch it. This is going to be nice.
And just remember, these events are our attempt at restoring our ancestral consciousness. Remember, that's what history is. Your history is the story and the behavior and the practice of your ancestors, right? And so when we teach this, and I see my other call is coming in, which I'm going to have to take.
You can take it on air. Who calling you?
No, because it's business and some of it's business.
I'm just playing with you, Dr. Professor.
It's one of the priests, Baba Khan, that's calling. So.
Okay, well, tell them what's
but
up.
I have to go to that meeting. That is an important meeting that I must tell my beloved Queen Mother and Dr. Tatah. I'm going to let you close out because I'm going to leave you all early in order to take this call. So please forgive me, but it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be in touch. All right, I get to sit here with Ms. Dr. Susan Tatah. You know what? I have one more question for you before we close. And again, thank you for being. What time is it now in Africa? No, you're in Germany.
Yeah, but it's 2 a.m. in the night.
It's 2 a.m. in the night. It's still early as hell. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you one more question. Well, yes, in your like personal being, how do you and in your dress, because that's one of the things he just mentioned when he was saying, he's looking at that picture, like you look so regal. How do you use symbols in how, when you get dressed? How do you use symbols? Or do you?
Oh, um, hmm. How do I use symbols? Well, of course, like what you're doing. I mean, if I think most important is how you use it, but how you feel about it, how you carry it along. Like you have your, I mean, you could see it, the ankh, right? Okay, if I have to wear an ankh, like most people before they put up an ankh, they actually know what it is.
Yeah.
But symbolism is more of what do I show? What do I present in the
Absolutely.
public?
Absolutely.
What when you see me, what do you think? And how do you feel about it? And this is really deep what you're saying, because in our spirituality, symbolism and representation is totally different, particularly when it has to do with the feminine energy. I didn't want to say it when Professor James was on, like it was something, but there's a particular symbol, sister. And I think some of the symbols are general symbols, but we have particular feminine symbols.
Mm,
And that had to do with feminism.
mm.
Okay. And one of the symbols that I found out was the symbol that was dedicated for senior women to date younger men.
Oh,
It was
this
a,
is
it's
enough for that.
no, wait. It's an ancient African culture that has been hidden for so long. And even the idea that is switched on the other side, like you see in our culture today, the men would easily get married to younger women, but for the women, it was difficult. Not too much of young or age difference, but it was a normal thing that was taken from the African female symbols. Was never a man thing. But they had to demonize it on the women because it had to do with creation and nurturing and nurturing. Okay, it was a normal thing. And honestly, I'm going to put that research out. African women have to normalize it. It's a normal thing. And that's how you see the not just the raising of the generation, but the function in ancient, I mean, when I say ancient Africa, it depends on the sectors in which we were. Most of the women, actually, particularly those for whatever reason, that we also had cases of divorces, and these symbols play a very big role. Why is it today always demonized when a woman, let's say a woman is 50 and you date a man at 40 or 45, it becomes a taboo. It becomes of like, no, it's not, it should not. No, that never was a man thing, it was a woman thing. And
Really?
yes, this discoveries actually is not, it has nothing to do about what the representation and the symbolism today is that makes the world. And you understand, because of the stereotyping and a lot of things, a lot of women are pushed it at the side. And why is it normal? For instance, why is it just normal that we feel comfortable that the men, even at 80, can get married to a woman at 20 or 25? Why?
Mm.
Nobody ever thought about that. But in African symbolism, it was something that is obvious in representation. I'm just giving an example, but a lot more, because it has to do with creation and mother creation. And that's why everything in it had to do with Mother Nature, Mother Africa, Mother Universe, or mother of that essence. So there's a lot of things we have to do to decode it. So symbolism, for instance,
Mm.
in certain traditions, the earrings they wear, where they put the rings, where they put even the necklace, where are they putting it on their waist, on the legs? What does that mean? There's a lot of symbolism in it. But today we look at it as like it's fashion. It's fashion. I don't know what. You know, like today we look at those
Yeah,
symbolisms
the lights
as
were
fashion. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. What did
But
it
you know what?
mean for a woman to wear the ring on the left side of her leg? Why don't we wear it today? Because these
Yeah.
were symbols and they gave a lot of meaning, and you would see it, you would understand how, the values of this. If we really study symbolism, not only in terms of general symbols, but the power and in the creation and the feminine energy, I'm telling you, sister, you will be shocked. There's
Yeah,
still a lot.
listen, we gotta get together. I need to hear about this. I want to hear about your research more because you're right about it's so interesting when you were talking about like when women like they had the earrings and the whole ensemble, and they had like this beautiful Adinkra like outfit on, or it was made of fabric or whatever, and I and sometimes I'm talking to them, or I was like, wow, they're really not the nice people. Like sometimes it's just the wearing, it's just the putting on and not knowing like what it means,
They
and
don't know.
yeah, because I know that like in my daily life, depending on where I got to go and how I got to show up, depends on usually what type of earrings I have or what type of symbols that I'm needing. Sometimes I need the extra energy. Sometimes I'm in a state of love. Sometimes I need to be like fighting, and that's why usually I have these big pair of black African earrings. They're just like African, like this big, and where
Yes.
and it's not for anybody else. It's literally for me. And so I
Mm.
think that, this idea of, I like what Professor said, is first is noticing symbols and noticing that they're ours, and just doing that research, doing that, going back and getting that history. And then once you know that, get to know those meanings and use it for yourself. Like 100%.
I cannot imagine when we discover that and how we represent the energy that we're going to push on. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. When
Yeah.
we truly just understand and carry it in that format of representation, the kind of way
Yeah.
we show up at, oh my God, it's going to flip everybody out of the space. So it's very important. And yeah.
Yeah. All right. So listen, we're going to be doing this again because
We should.
yes, we have to go through. Listen, we got to go through your One Africa Power and Unity speech. Okay. Like really, we had to sit with that. And I think people who didn't have a chance to come to the One Africa event, they will 100% appreciate that when we sit down and have that conversation. Good luck. Yeah, good
Thank
luck.
you.
Good luck with this. I'm so excited for you. 25 years. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's
Thank
dedication.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sister. Thank
Yeah.
you all. Thank you, all of you that are listening. Thank you. If anything that will be coming up, like the program and everything, I will share it with you. If you can share it with the family, that would really, we need your support in Germany.
Yes.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, yes. So
I
we
mean,
have to yeah, I'm going to make sure we have our family listen, get on this newsletter. We'll make sure we put that in our newsletter, so that everybody can just go to your link and see what you're doing, donate, and all those things. So that's super important. Like we've got to, people on the front lines have got to be supported, and it's okay to make a little money. It's okay. Everybody needs money to live.
Sure.
You can't live with money. All right. Do you have some closing words? Oh, what's my earring? You have any closing words?
I think I want to thank you so very much for the opportunity. I want to thank everybody that is watching. I mean, just the name HAPI itself already, and it's not seen anywhere. I had to go and research it myself because today they changed everything and put it River Nile, but the original energy came from HAPI. And so HAPI, I want to thank you for actually making, oh my God, for making us happy in its real sense. It's an opportunity to always have platforms, to address the family, the community, and also to showcase or to give more information about how we connect to break down all the stereotypes between us. So it's a wonderful pleasure. And I really, really thank you for having my back, sister. I'm so proud of you. Beautiful, smart, intelligent. And if I show everybody our picture as a Sister Felicia, I know her. I know her. You know, I know this celebrity. I know this big star. And I just feel like, you know, and everybody around me, they are so afraid of the African Americans. And they want to say, that's my sister. She's African. Oh, really? Oh my God, you have a family like that. That's power.
Listen, every time I look at you, and I'm just like, you are like me. And you said that, you were just saying that in your speech to everyone. And, you were saying that we all collectively thought about and said, we're going to show up on this day together. And we said this 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So we said today we were going to all do this together, and I tell you, it is, I love you. I love you. You are you just so you radiate so full. I think everybody on here can feel it too. So
thank you.
Yeah, so we will be getting back together again, okay? And I can't wait. Can't wait to see you. If I don't make it in June, you're gonna see me in Ghana.
No problem. No problem, sister. Thank you so very much.
Yes. All right.
Good night and greetings. Bye. Bye. Love all of you. Bye.
Bye. All right, fam. This is a good show. It's a long show, but it's a good show. Family, please like and share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you do that. And then hit the notifications button. Make sure that you are signed up for the newsletter. This is where you get all the good juice. Okay. And also, we are, I put the, I'm going to put it one more time right there. I'm putting the link in the chat. This is the link to get your ticket. Don't wait till 12:50 and then start texting me where my link. Okay. Just go ahead and get it now. Right there. It's on Eventbrite, Magical Kemet Revisited, starring Kaba Kamene, Mfudishi Juhuti Miss, the Chief will be there, Professor James Small, and Mama Ella. If you are not in New York City, you need to be on that live stream. This is a global event. We're going to be streaming this worldwide. Okay, just like we did One Africa and Black Day of Black Excellence in Queens. Okay, live stream right there. Also, family, if you can make it to Ghana with myself, HAPI, with Professor James Small, right here. Try to make it happen. This is, Professor talks in such passion about the spiritual revolution that happens, with us when we travel. And if you are, and that's another thing, family, if you are subscribed to the newsletter, he wrote a letter and asked for us to publish it. And so it's in the, it's on like the second page of the newsletter, his letter to all of us. So yeah, this newsletter is serious. If you want to, travel with us, you go to icattours.com and, or you can just go to HAPI Film. Either way, it's going to get you to where you need to go right there. Okay. I'm making sure that I have everything. Also, thank you. We want to thank all the people who gave us money through Cash App. Thank you. And the super chat. Thank you. You don't understand. All that money specifically goes to us doing promotional materials and getting this HAPI movement rolling into the streets. So thank you for all of your donations. And if you want to hit us up on the Cash App right there, $ HAPI Film. Clearance sale at the store. HAPIfilm.com. You can, pick up a HAPI. Now you can only probably pick it up if you're like a 3X or maybe like a small. I think I have a couple of mediums left, but you want to, hit the store. We got all types of merchandise. And special shout out to Lisa, because not only is Lisa bringing her son on this trip with us to Ghana, but I seen she put an order in, so she's gonna have her HAPI gear on the, in Ghana. That's what's up. So thank you. And again, about the newsletter, if you want to take out ads, okay, if you're a small business, there's all types of ways that you can, you can get your business out through us. And so you can go send us an email at happymarketingads@gmail.com, and we'll send you a sponsorship package. You look at it. And again, if there's something that you kind of want that's a little something we're not offering, just it's a conversation. Also, if you have something you want to get out to the community, if you have a thought about something, if you've written about something that you think is very important, that you think that we need to hear as a people, you need to send it to us. And you can send it to that same email address, okay? And so we can put it in a newsletter. All right. You know what, family? I think I officially have done all the announcements. I hope that you can make, I hope that if you're in the house, we'll see you, at Magical Kemet, March 23rd, okay? And if you can't get in person, it's okay. We're going to be on the live stream. All right, family. I am going to, before we leave, I'm going to show, we're going to look at the official Professor James Small Ghana video, and then we'll leave it there. So without further ado, peace and blessings, family.
Family, this is Professor James Small, and I'm inviting you to join me on a life-changing journey to Ghana with HAPI from July 25th to August 5th, 2025. This is more than a trip. It's a very spiritual homecoming. We will stand in the very waters where our ancestors took their last bath before being taken from their homeland, never to return. We will honor them, reconnect with our roots, and experience the beauty of Ghana, its people, its culture, and its spirit. And most importantly, we will do this together, surrounded by like-minded brothers and sisters, on this journey of remembrance and healing. The ancestors are calling. Will you answer? Visit acadtours.com and return home.